The wind moved through the pines like a prayer, soft, sorrowful, and endless. The sun was low, bleeding gold over the black hills, and a thin trail of smoke rose from a small cabin near the creek. Inside, Winyan Ska, white woman, they called her, though her heart was all Lakota, stirred a pot of corn soup. The smell of sage and firewood filled the one-room home she had built log by log beside her husband, Thomas Hale, a settler who had come west chasing land and redemption. It was early spring, but the world still held winter's bite. Thomas lay on the cot, pale and weak, his breathing shallow. A gunshot wound in his side had turned bad. Infection crawled under his skin, fever burning through him. Winyan pressed a damp cloth to his forehead and whispered softly, "Be still, my love. The Creator does not forget those who walk in truth." Thomas opened his eyes, blue, distant, full of pain. "They'll come for me, Winyan," he said. "Your people, they won't forgive what happened at the border." She looked at him sharply. "You saved a Lakota child, Thomas. You stopped your own men from burning their lodge. You did what was right." He coughed, blood flecking his lips. "Doesn't matter. To them, I'm still a white man." Winyan's voice trembled. "Then they'll burn my cabin for a white man, but I will not leave you." The day before, the hills had echoed with gunfire. A group of settlers had raided a Lakota camp, claiming stolen horses. But the truth was greed. The settlers wanted the tribe gone. When the flames caught, screams filled the air. Thomas, a ranch hand caught between both worlds, had drawn his rifle against his own. He pulled a Lakota boy from the fire, Chaska, Winyan's nephew, and carried him to safety. That act of defiance cost him. A settler's bullet tore through his side before he could escape. Now, the tribe grieved, and rage rose with the smoke of their burned lodges. They wanted blood. They wanted justice. At dusk, a line of riders appeared along the ridge, dark silhouettes against the dying light. Winyan stepped outside, her braid heavy with ash, her hands steady though her heart thundered. The riders stopped near the creek. Chief Matowakan, her uncle, dismounted first. His face was carved by wind and years of war. "Winyan Ska," he said in Lakota, his voice deep as the earth, "you shelter the man who spilled our blood." "He spilled no blood," she answered. "He saved your grandson." The chief's eyes narrowed. "He is white. He rode with those who killed our women. His kind built fires that ate our land." Winyan lifted her chin. "And yet he lifted my sister's son from the same fire. Would the guilty do that?" Behind the chief, murmurs rose. Warriors shifted uneasily, torn between anger and the truth. Then Chaska, the rescued boy, stepped forward. His voice was small but clear. "He carried me through the flames, grandfather," he said. "No child should die for another man's hate." The wind fell silent. Even the horses stilled. The chief's gaze turned toward the cabin. Smoke still drifted from its chimney, curling upward like a fragile prayer. "Justice must be done," he said finally. He turned his horse. "Tomorrow, when the sun rises, we decide." That night, Winyan sat beside Thomas, holding his hand as he drifted in and out of fevered dreams. Outside, the drumming of distant ceremonies echoed through the dark, a rhythm older than sorrow. "I should have left," Thomas murmured. "I brought danger to you." Winyan pressed her forehead against his. "You brought truth. And truth is never danger, only light that blinds the blind." She closed her eyes. Tears slid down her face, silent and steady. Then, through the window, she saw a flicker, torches. Shadows moved near the ridge. They were coming. At dawn, the valley burned gold. Frost shimmered. On the grass, the tribe gathered before the cabin, men, women, children, all silent, all waiting. Smoke from sacred sage rose in thin spirals. Chief Matowakan stood at the front, flanked by two elders. In the center, a wooden stake had been driven into the earth. Winyan stepped out, her head high, her hands folded around a single eagle feather. Thomas followed, leaning heavily on her shoulder. The chief spoke first. "This man's kind burned our homes. His people do not weep for our dead. Why should we weep for him?" Thomas tried to speak but coughed hard, blood staining his shirt. "I can't speak for all men, Chief, only for myself. I saw your children screaming. I couldn't let it happen again." The crowd murmured. The chief's eyes narrowed. "And yet your people will come again. More fires, more graves. Then I will stay," Thomas said. "If my life can prove not all white men carry hate, then let it." He swayed, but Winyan held him firm. "My husband's heart walks the red road," she said. "Judge him by his deeds, not his skin." A silence hung heavy. Then an elder woman, gray hair bound in braids, her eyes bright as flint, stepped forward. Once, she said, a Lakota woman married a Crow man. Their tribes were enemies. When war came, both sides wanted their blood. But the spirits sent rain that day, neither camp could light their fires. Some said the Creator wept for them. She turned to Matowakan. Maybe he weeps again today. The chief looked toward the boy, Chaska. What does justice mean to you, my grandson? Chaska's eyes met his. Justice is when wrong is made right. But killing a man who saved me would make wrong twice. A murmur spread through the tribe, not of anger, but awakening. Matowakan stared long at the cabin, the woman, the wounded man. His jaw tightened, then softened. The spirits speak through the innocent, he said finally. Let his deed stand for him. He turned his horse away. No fire will touch your cabin, Winyan Ska. The Lakota have taken justice, and given mercy. Tears broke from Winyan's eyes. She fell to her knees, pressing her hands to the earth. Pilamaye, she whispered, thank you. Thomas, weak and trembling, watched as the riders turned toward the horizon, their figures fading into the golden light. He looked at Winyan. They spared me, she smiled through tears. No, they spared us, because you chose to see them as people, not enemies. He closed his eyes. Then maybe there's hope for this land after all. Days passed. Thomas healed slowly. The cabin stood, not just wood and stone, but a symbol. Lakota children came to trade herbs and honey. Winyan taught them songs. Thomas, still weak, built new fences, repaired roofs, and worked beside the tribe whose trust he had earned. Once, when he was strong enough to ride again, he went to the place where the burned lodges had stood. He planted trees there, a circle of saplings, one for every child who had lost a home. Winyan joined him, laying her hand over his. Our roots will grow together, she said. He nodded. And maybe, someday, no one will call me, white man, or you, Lakota woman. Just, family. Years later, when travelers passed through the valley, they spoke of the cabin of mercy, a place where enemies became kin. They said a Lakota woman and a white man had built it with love stronger than fire, and that no storm had ever touched its roof. Children born of both worlds played by the creek, their laughter echoing through the pines. And sometimes, at sunset, when the wind moved softly through the trees, the people swore they could hear a woman's voice whisper, "They'll burn my cabin for a white man," but they never did. Many winters later, Chief Matowakan's grandson, now a grown man, returned to that same valley. The cabin still stood, weathered but proud. Inside, he found carvings on the wall, words written in both Lakota and English, "Justice is not fire. It is the hand that spares the flame." He smiled, laid his hand over the words, and whispered a prayer for those who had taught the world that mercy is the truest justice. As he left, the setting sun washed the valley in gold once more, and the cabin glowed as if touched by the Creator's own hand.